think about the different Sukkot customs that are very much featured all over the various different Sephardi territories, countries, what was a rich culture and history with regards to Sukkot as we're coming inside this festival. So Chag Sameach, it's a special edition over here, where we're exploring the Middle Eastern countries in of itself. Now, what were the customs we're going to learn about of decorations of a sukkah in the various different vicinities? Now, we know in Syria, we're going to first speak about the Sephardic custom in Syria. How did we decorate the Sukkots, respectively? So, in Syria, the sukkah was decorated with the Shivat HaMinim, the 7 species, which the land of Israel is praised for naturally: barley, wheat, pomegranate, dates, figs, olives, and grapes. Now, in Judeo-Spanish, what was the decorations, first of all? In addition to fruit, bisoshos, pastries, which were baked in the form of a circle or a Star of David, were hung in those places. Spanish Portuguese we're going to go more in depth with regards to all these countries in due course. Now, cranberries and plums were included among the fruits in Spain and Portugal. Morocco. Now, in Morocco, besides fruit, sukkah decorations included hanging rugs, and a special chair for Elijah the prophet. Eliyahu's chair was hung on the wall. On the last day, the sukkah is burned down by the children. I hope that was correct, because it doesn't make sense. Maybe I made a spelling mistake where I read that from, so don't take that literally over there. I will just have to check on that. How about Morocco? Now, in Morocco, the lulav may be decorated with silk ribbons and a bell. So we're talking about over here we're talking about the lulav. So I'll just go back to it. When we're talking about our previous country, we were speaking just right now about Syria, Morocco, Judeo-Spanish, and we were talking about Morocco. I think, I'll have to double check on the sukkah, what the status is. Now, in Morocco, the lulav may be decorated with silk ribbons and a bell, interesting enough. Now, after the holiday, it is sometimes placed in a flower pot to promote good health, sort of a Jewish feng shui, let's just say, using that terminology. Obviously, we don't believe in that. Now, some leave it on top of the ark, the cabinet that houses the Torah scrolls in a synagogue, until Pesach, the festival of Pesach, and then used as described below. Now, Syrian, Moroccan, Judeo-Spanish, the lulav over there is kept till Pesach and used as a broom in the search of leaven, within regards to bread. How about now we're talking about the etrog over there on Sukkot. So what do we do with that? Now, after the festival of Sukkot, among Syrian communities, the etrog is used for preparing jam. How about in Judeo-Spanish? As long as it retains its aroma, the etrog is used for the weekly Havdalah. The end of, obviously, you've got to speak to your local Orthodox rabbi about that, including spices and other fragrant ingredients. Now, it was a minor day compared to the following day, Simchat Torah. We're talking about Hoshana Rabbah now. What's the status of Hoshana Rabbah on Sukkot? In Syria, Morocco, and Judeo-Spanish, reported over in this article I'm reading over here, I think it's on JewishRoots.net, it says that prayers would stay up awake all night studying the Book of Dvarim, Tehillim, and also parts of Zohar, and which is obviously an interesting thing. Now, in Judeo-Spanish, some would serve macaroni, reported over, and cheese, interesting enough, in the sukkah on Hoshana Rabbah. So I'm not too sure why there is that custom in and of itself. Now we're talking about the children enjoyed jelly apples topped with little Israeli flags, while adults paraded Torah scrolls in the synagogue. I think various people were given aliyah to read. Now this is on Simchat Torah. Now in the Syrian communities, there is a special aliyah for children afterwards. The congregation throws apparently something called melabez. This is Jordan almonds for them to eat. How about in Morocco? I think on Simchat Torah, what do? The children get to carry candles during the hakafot. So I'm not too sure. You have to double check the Muksa point of view with regards to those things. I'm just reading this article from the JewishRoots.net website. Judeo-Spanish, what do they do there? Those from Salonika called their synagogue by a nickname and do something to enact the name. Those from the, let's say, rice synagogue cooked rice. Those from the chair synagogue would seat the one holding the Torah scroll upon the chair, respectively. Let's look at other traditions among different Jews, also in during Sukkot, with regards so on and so forth. Now, Bukharian Jews, they're obviously based in Central Asia. Bukharian Jews traditionally line their Sukkot with richly patterned Persian carpets and embroidered textiles creating an opulent living room-like space. Now, in some families, evenings in the sukkah feature live music or singing, obviously not on Sukkot itself, but on Chol Hamoed. Now, Yemenite Jews from Teman. The Yemenite Jews often build their Sukkots on rooftops using woven date palm branches as schach. Decorations lean heavily on pomegranates, citrus, and natural produce. No paper chains over here. Let's just say this using another article website over here. Now, the Syrian and Lebanese Jews, what do they do? Now, the families from these communities, they hung whole etrogim and pomegranates from the sukkah ceilings, sometimes alongside garlands of fruits. Holiday meals feature stuffed vegetables and citrus-infused desserts that tie in with the harvest theme. Now, Greek and Turkish Jews, what do they do? Now, the Balkan Jews, they built Sukkot on balconies, sometimes cantilevered over the street. Interiors were decorated with the white linens and blue fabrics, evoking the sky and the sea. Now, Ethiopian Jews, let's talk about them. Very rich heritage the Beta Israel company had. Now, historically, Beta Israel communities did not build sukkahs, apparently. Instead, they gathered outdoors near rivers for communal prayers and agricultural celebrations during a festival that coincides with Sukkot. In Israel today, many blend traditional customs with sukkah building, obviously naturally over here in Israel. Now, Moroccan Jews. Moroccan Sukkot overflow with embroidered fabrics, carpets, and hanging fruits like pomegranates, citrus and grapes. Guests are welcomed with minty and pastries, and special prayers or decorations in honor of the Ushpizin. Now, these traditions remain vibrant in Israel and the Moroccan diaspora communities today. Now, Iraqi Jews, let's talk about them. Families build large sukkot in central courtyards, decorated with woven, mats, hanging fruits, colored glass lanterns that, that made the sukkah glow at night. Extended families often gather in one big sukkah. That's with the Iraqi Jews. Now, the Indian Jews from Hodu. Now, Indian Hodu Jewish communities, they built Sukkot with woven palm leaves, bamboo, and local flowers, often on rooftops or in the courtyards. Now, decorations, the Kishutim, feature bright garlands and fruits like bananas and coconuts, reflecting the tropical harvest. Now, meals would include rice dishes, spiced vegetables, and sweets made with coconut and jaggery, giving the holiday a distinct Indian flavor. In Cochin, families traditionally welcome neighbors and friends in their Sukkot for shared meals and blessings. Very interesting. Now, the Spanish Portuguese Jews, what do they do on Sukkot? Now, especially from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, in London, and across Caribbean, decorate their Sukkot with white linens, citrus fruits, and fresh greenery. In cities, Sukkot are often built against synagogue walls or in courtyard gardens. In Cacao and in Suriname, the families over there incorporate local tropical plants, blending Iberian tradition with Caribbean, abundance. How about in Latin America? Let's speak about that. Now, Jewish communities in Brazil and Argentina, they adapt Sukkot decor of the southern hemisphere's springtime harvest, using mangoes, coconuts, palm leaves, and vibrant flowers. Now, in Argentina and Uruguay, the families often gather for asado, a barbecue, nice meat, I'm getting hungry, in the sukkah, merging Jewish ritual and beloved local food culture. Okay, now let's talk about various different sukkahs. What were the designs over there? Now, the Pergolo Sukkah of Modi'in, Israel, very famous. All new, now it's a very modern city, Modi'in, and it's built with to a skylight. They lift the roof and put it down, just add schach, the people would. And they have their sukkah and no fights, obviously, naturally. Obviously, we're all Am Yisrael and Achdut. This became very popular in the wealthy communities in Modi'in, where people celebrate Jewish holidays by putting in as little effort as possible. And don't quote me on that one. I'm reading the Eish website now for this. These are the same people who celebrate Pesach, cleaning. Obviously, Pesach bring the amazing Mishloach Manot also. Now, Moroccans, just going back to their traditions, according to the Eish website, they hang the Elijah the prophet chair, the Kiseh Eliyahu Hanavi. This always, it's interesting. Very, very culture, let's just say, of itself. There's rugs, stick rugs, and so on and so forth. Now, in Italy, historically, the walls of Italian sukkahs were adorned with elaborate paintings or engraved panels featuring images and texts from the Torah. Now, throughout the 18th century, Italian Jews favored decoration made from intricately cut paper. Venice's Jewish community continues to make a tavola del angelo table of angel for Sukkot. And let's just say, now I'm reading the Jewish Journal for this. An elegant table scale of pomegranates, corn, and other symbols of abundance and hope. The setup also includes the bollo, a sweetened yeast cake studded with dry fruit, and Italians eat throughout the holiday. The name comes from the Spanish word bull and attests the heavy Sephardic influence they had in their places in of itself. So also known as hope. They setup also include the bollo, a sweetened yeast cake studded with dry fruit. And very, very interesting. How about in Judeo-Spain, the Book of Jewish Food, I think someone with the name Mrs. Roden, paints a dreamy Sukkot scene. In Morocco, there were huts that was built on rooftop terraces and lined with cloth, then filled inside rugs, mattresses covered with brocades, silk shawls, embroidered curtains, strings of electric bulbs lit to them. In many Moroccan sukkahs, a beautifully decorated chair or stool was hung on the wall to represent Elijah, Eliyahu Hanavi, or the Ushpizin. Naturally, the table was adorned with a sumptuous feast with couscous, fava bean soup, pastilla, and so on and so forth. Syrians, their sukkahs were decorated with Shivat Minim, as we stated before. And according to 2006, there was a New York Times article that says labor-intensive dishes, sambusak, crisp little half moons, stuffed with allspice scented, meat of tangy white cheese, mashy vegetables like tiny eggplants, rice, kak, respectively was over there. Now I've got another. Just one last bit from the Jewish Ideas website. There's a rabbi named Rabbi Daniel Boskiddle. We mentioned him about before inside, I think on the Tisha B'Av video. He's the director of Sephardic Educational Center and rabbi of the Westwood Village Synagogue. He, I think, writes a lot of translations within regards to Rabbi Ben-Zion Meir Chai Uziel. There's a special article where he describes his time in Morocco, in Marrakesh, on Sukkot. He says over here, my father of blessed memory was born and raised in the Mellah of Marrakesh. All of the Moroccan traditions I practice on Sukkot are customs that he learned and inherited from him. Those special Moroccan traditions, which he grew up on, he practices, I think, today. They adorn Sukkot with aesthetic beauty and mystically spiritual in its own means. In Moroccan tradition, the lulav is far more than the plain spine of a palm branch. Upon bringing it home from the store, the first thing we do is decorate the lulav with golden threads and ribbons, like we said before. This is based on a unique tradition dating back to the Mishnah, where it says the people of Jerusalem bound their lulavs with their strands of gold. That's what we learn about in Masechet Sukkah in Mishnah in chapter 3, number Mishnah 8. How did the Jerusalem tradition arrive in Morocco? The simple answer would be that someone from Jerusalem brought it there. And the author here thinks otherwise. If you ever been to a Moroccan Shabbat dinner and seen how we adorn our tables, he says, the author does, with a colourful array of foods, it makes sense that we'd be attracted to a tradition that decorates our lulav. As a child, he loved, the author, watching his father decorate his lulav. But that Moroccan custom now apparently belongs to his Ashkenazic wife. I think her name is Rabbanit Penny, who does it with love and a unique creative flair. That's what the author says. Now, fresh from decorating the love, that when they enter the sukkah, the author says, often with a spool of golden ribbons still in our hands, bamboo sticks, not palm fronds, sit above his heads. Now, my father, he says over here, taught him that in his family, the sukkah was treated as more than a temporary dwelling place over here, or dining room. This is Shidur Chai at the moment, over here, friends, over here, special edition, over here, over there. So his father would treat the sukkah as more than a temporary dwelling place. It was sacred space, modelled after the Mishkan, the tabernacle, Judaism's original portable sanctuary. In that spirit, the decor of the Moroccan sukkah, a colourful assortment of fabrics and materials, was inspired by the Torah's commandment to hang in the Mishkan a certain made blue, purple, and crimson cloths. As we learn about, I believe, in the book of Exodus, in the book of Shemot. It probably held his grandfather sold fabrics for a living, apparently. And the colourful fabrics were fastened to the sukkah's walls with decorative hooks. The golden ribbons left over the decorating lulav would have helped the fabric, bronze or copper, hang as the sukkah's light fixtures. Upon entering his sukkah, he always felt the striking blend, colors, and lights exuding warmth, let's just say. Now, there's another special custom over here, which was practiced by his father's family, was hanging the small chair of Elijah, which we mentioned about before in Sukkah. Now, Rabbi Buskula's father's grandfather was a great rabbi named Rabbi Yosef Pinto, a Kabbalist that descended from great mystics from Spain. Now, Rabbi Pinto taught his father that the reason why they hang the Elijah the prophet's chair in the Sukkah is because Elijah the prophet is a primary teacher of Kabbalah for great Moroccan Kabbalists. And on Sukkot, the author says that there's a hope that the spirit of Elijah the prophet, his great teachings, will permeate in the Sukkah. Perhaps he even says great-grandfather learned this from Elijah himself. Now, Elijah's chair was decorated with colourful Moroccan pillows, and it was customary to place various special Sukkot-related books on those pillows. Now, one of the special books is called the Hamad Elokim, God's Desire, a Sephardic liturgical book devoted entirely to Sukkot. Hamad Elokim was an official Sukkot book of the author Rav Boskila's father's family, and it remained, I think, in his family's home. The book is divided into 7 sets of Kabbalistic texts, and read each night corresponding to 7 Ushpizin. The 7 special guests, obviously Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. Obviously, we invite each other to our Sukkots, and they would read and chant Hamad Elokim's mystical text. The author himself says about the fond memories he has in sitting with his father to read the Hamad Elokim every night of Sukkot. Pages radiated a unique aura of spirituality in of itself. Reading Hamad Elokim with his father, he says at the time, brought him back to the Sukkot of his upbringing in Marrakesh, but also helped him bring beautiful Moroccan customs back into the house in America, because he was obviously living there. Now, there's other customs also on Sukkot, especially he talks about Tikkun Le'el Hoshana Rabbah, all-night Torah study and celebration on the last night of Sukkot will be inspired by the Talmudic description of Hoshana Rabbah as an all-night celebration in the Bet HaMikdash in Jerusalem. The Kabbalists, they turned the last night of Sukkot, into a beautiful all-night event in Sukkah. His father's family hosted a Tikkun Le'el Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah Rabbah, and their sukkah for the community in Marrakesh, describing of the evening, including dazzling array of sweet pastries, fresh and dried fruits, and lots of Moroccan mint tea and nana. Of course, there were presents of Torah teachings of his grandfather, Rav Yosef Pinto. Now, while his upbringing in America, the author Rav Boskila is saying, the sukkah in his own family didn't necessarily have the same presence of the great-great-grandfather, but they continued to study Torah and had the Moroccan pastries in the sukkah on Hoshana Rabbah. His father's favorite Sukkot song was Sukkah Velulav, obviously Sukkah Velulav Le'am, a Kabbalistic poem. It was composed in Meknes by great Rabbi Moshe Adahan in the 18th century. With its Sukkah Velulav expresses the ultimate state of happiness in observing this beautiful holiday. Let Israel rejoice in the shade of God's Sukkah. We sing, and happy are the pure of heart who set their intentions on the secret essence of the lulav and its accompanying species. Now, the author says in January 1993, 1 week before he got married to Rabbinit Penny, his wife, his father gave them both a special gift, a Hamad Elokim Sukkot book from Morocco, with a personal inscription written in beautiful Hebrew that would write to him. That copy of Hamad Eliyahu belonged to his beloved father, Rabbi Shalom Boskila of blessed memory. And he held this for 40 years and hopes it goes on. So very interesting. Hopefully that's Sukkot. And Rob Boskila said that his kids themselves would grow up with the father's Hamad Elokim inside the Sukkah, along with all the family's beautiful traditions for Sukkot. So friends over here, we're a community. Everyone subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 7,500 subscribers at the moment. Wishing all a Chag Sukkot Sameach. Bezrat Hashem, just brachot here from Israel. And an awesome Sukkot. So everyone subscribe. And obviously in Israel, we're observing 1 day of Sukkot. Many of you are watching in the Chutz La'aretz, you're keeping 2 days Sukkot. So enjoy, subscribe. I wish you all fantastic Sukkot. And enjoy and watch over all the previous videos, friends. And learn Torah every single minute during one Sukkah. Enjoy, friends. Thank you.